Hi guys, just doing a video to go back in time just a bit to talk about my walk with Jesus and how far back it goes. Really, it started back when I was a little girl and my mother bought me an album. I'm 51. My mother bought me Jesus Christ Superstar, the rock opera. And we would always go to these musicals. I was actually in the theater. My mom got me all involved in that, a lot of musicals and stuff. But so Jesus Christ Superstar Rock Opera was one of the very first ones that I'd seen as a little girl, kindergarten, as a matter of fact. And I loved this album. I would sing it. I just loved it. And my mother did take me to go and see the play. We went to the Schubert Theater in Los Angeles. And I will never forget, nothing in my life has ever affected me the way that that affected me. When they crucified him, I just cried and cried and cried. And I just remember all these people around me that, just kind of looked at me, didn't really, not many of them were really reacting, but I mean, they were serious. But I remember just how terrible. I just could not stop crying, and I never forgot about it. And the other time when we went to the theater, my mother took me to see a movie, Benji. You guys remember Benji? This time I shouted out, though. I remember screaming out, and the whole theater like turns around and looks at me. I was like, "Run, Benji, run!" So I didn't do that at this big theatrical production in Los Angeles with all these people at this big production for Jesus, but I wish I had now, thinking back on it. But then when I was in fourth grade, I had a dream that I was standing in water. It was dark. It was almost like it was void. I was in space, but yet I was standing in water that was just a few inches deep. And looking up, I could see the stars, and the stars they were so close that I could reach out and touch them. And I remember seeing rocks. There was a waterfall and the rocks, and it was gently flowing, this river. On one rock, there was a lion, a big lion, and it was like just shining bright. And then on another rock was a lamb. And that was really pretty much the end of the dream. At the end of the dream, a voice told me, "You are having a prophetic dream." So in fourth grade, I didn't even know what prophecy, nothing. I didn't know that word at all. So I went to my grandmother, and my grandmother told me to go to the dictionary. She had her big Webster's dictionary up on her stand, and that's how she dealt with us. So I went to go look at that and find out the definition of prophetic. But that was about it, because I had an experience where my mother tried to commit suicide. She took a whole bottle of sleeping pills. And in the middle of the night, I was waken up by this something that directed me to my mother. And I did save her life. I got her up, and she had taken that whole bottle, like I say, and she was passed out. She tried to get up and get to the medicine cabinet and take more pills. I saw her leave in an ambulance. It was very traumatic for me to see that as a child. Plus, she said some things that she really didn't mean. So I took it to heart. It really hurt me so, so bad. I rebelled as a teenager, and as I rebelled against her, I rebelled against everybody and everything. And I had all this, I guess, I don't think it was hate, but I just felt so betrayed and lost and unloved. As an only child, no father, and then my mother telling me I'm better off without her. She's going to kill herself. So I didn't feel like I had any friends or anybody that loved me. So I just rebelled against the world. And then I found out Santa Claus and the Easter Bunny was a lie. So kind of like the way that they do that with kids, they categorize it. Jesus, it looked to me kind of like the same kind of a figure, a good figure. No, you know what I mean? But I just like didn't know whether or not he was real. So getting back to what I was going to talk about tonight. Tonight's story is about what happened to me in 2000, and 18 when he moved me from Chicago to Missouri. And I ended up in Lexington, Missouri, which is a couple hours north of the Ozarks. And I ended up in the wrong spot because I was told to go to the Ozarks, right? But I ended up in the wrong spot. Go figure. I left with nothing, you guys. No money, nothing. And a bus ticket, okay, for my daughter and myself. Talk about taking what he told me. I took very seriously, and it didn't even matter that I had no money because I knew he was going to take care of me. So when we got to Lexington, though, we were at a house, and in the basement, this is where we were at, where we slept. And one night, I'll never forget it because it was the weekend of September. It was September 29th, 30th. It was that weekend. It was a 3-day period that this attack went down, that I went under. We started, there was a couple of us there, and there was an odor and the smell of death, they say. That's what it reminded me of like, say, a cat or something under the house that passed away and like just needed to, the smell was there. It just smelled awful, you guys. We were spraying Febreze. We kept cleaning. The smell would not go away. That night, I went to sleep. I woke up a few times because the smell would be right on top of me, literally that smell. And I moved beds. I changed my location where I was sleeping a couple times, but I finally nodded off and went into a dream. And I remember that I went to stand up. And when I stood up, I looked down, and in the bed, there were all these maggots, a bunch, like tons of maggots. And then I knew that I was in another realm, and I knew that I was, right away, I announced out loud that, I said, I know that you're here, Satan. I said, you're nothing but a coward, an imitator, and you are the king of nothing. Well, immediately, it was like some kind of Star Wars invisible force type action, that both my arms like flung to my sides, like as if I'm standing in a cross statue type positioning, and my right arm lifted up over my head like I'm some puppet. I had no control over my body. This is just in my dream, you guys, but not in real life, of course. And anyways, my right arm goes down my throat. It starts stuffing itself down my throat. And I remember choking on my arm, and then my left arm came up and it got stuffed down my throat. And so I was choking and I could not breathe. And then the next thing I remember, it was like I was in this valley, and it was mountains. There were these mountains, and I was on the top of a mountain, and I was commanding. But the thing was, is I was barely even talking. I was just talking like regular, like this, but it was coming out like it was like these loud commands, and it was very, very loud. And my voice was echoing like all throughout these mountains. And so this demon that I was dealing with in this dream was dealing with me, and I was dealing with it. There were several parts of this dream: a black and white checkered board floor. When I first woke up, I forgot that detail. When I looked down and there were maggots, I remember there was a black and white checkered floor. The other thing was, goodness sakes, I mean to tell you, I woke up, okay? There's just okay. Let me just go back, rewind, so I can tell you every little bit, okay? After I commanded it, and I was in this mountain, all these mountains, okay? I remember I was in my old boss's house, and this is strange because he was from China, and he kept saying to me, this was like 5 years ago, he said, Rena, I want to know about this Jesus character because people are so happy. You so happy. Are you so happy because of Jesus? I want to know about him, right? And he would question, though, quite a bit when I would try to sit down. I even got a children's Bible for him, and I was helping him with his English while I was there. What it was is he would leave and go back to China. And so his daughter, I took care of the house, and his daughter was there going to boarding school, Christian school, high school. And I took care of her and just took care of the house, his business here in the States. So I was working for him and multitasking in different ways. This is in Chicago. Uh, but what had happened in the dream, to get back to this, because I said I ended up in Mark's house, and it was all plastic wrap stuff hanging everywhere. And I'm sitting there trying to get through these rooms, and I see that there's this old Chinese lady that's in a wheelchair. And I walk through this heavy plastic stuff that they had hanging, and she just looked at me. And when she turned around, her face was like a skeleton. And so I was kind of scared. And I remember they had this, oh my goodness, this is crazy. They had this big, the stuff, the nitrous, the stuff that, or not nitrous, but helium, the stuff that makes you talk funny and it makes dee, 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 your voice go up. Well, some of that I remember was going, a big gigantic canister of it was going off inside the house, and I could hear it. And as soon as I walked in the house, I saw it and I knew it was going off. So I was trying to find Mark to tell him about it, to turn it off. That's when I saw the lady in the wheelchair. I found her in that one room, and I kept trying to tell her that she would need to turn that off, get out of the house. But she kept turning and laughing and looking at me with the skeleton face, and then this high-pitched talking she was doing to me. Anyways, I got out of the house, and then I woke up from the dream, you guys, and this is real life, real life. There was a being standing by the door, and it had a red mist over its face, and I said, no way, I'm still dreaming, I'm still dreaming. And it was there, and it was cackling at me, and I could not see its face. Once again, that red mist. Well, then it told me, you're going to hell. And it just kept cackling at me. And then it said, look, and it pointed its finger. And then it was like I was off in a dream again. Now, I don't know for sure, you guys, maybe that was a dream, but I remember getting up and looking at the bathroom door at this thing standing there. It was a very dark shadow and a red mist across the face. And it was like laughing and all that. But anyways, it told me, my boss is coming. He told me, my boss is coming. This was 15 months ago that this happened. He said, my boss is coming and you're getting ready to go to hell. Anyways, when he pointed and he told me, look, I looked, and it was like a movie projector started rolling. I heard it. I heard the movie projector rolling in my ear, and I saw all these people, right? I saw the back of a man. I never got to see who it was, but it was the back of a man, and it was the Antichrist. And he is just, all these people as far as the eye could see, you guys, so far. It just makes me just, when I think about how many people, they were all worshiping him. All of them were worshiping him. And this thing was laughing at me and laughing at me. And I woke up from that dream terrified. I was ecstatic for 3 days, and my lips were burning. I was attacked. I mean, I was not under possession or anything, but I had it doing stuff to me that was trying to hurt me. Okay. My lips were burning. I had the taste of sulfur in my mouth for 3 days. And I remember I was drinking, it was like 10 waters a day. I couldn't stop drinking. That was the first time I reached out to a pastor. And he even told me he'd never had anything like this happen to him. So he just prayed with me, but he listened to me, and that's really all I needed. This is really the second time that I've told this story, because this is not easy to talk about. But I need to talk now. I've been told that it is time, and I have to tell what it is, the experiences that happened. And this all has to do with Jesus, because Jesus is real, you guys. Jesus is real. And he loves you no matter what you've done. He still loves you, and he wants you to come to him now. Now is the time. You have to stay every minute. Don't let him out of your sight. I'm telling you, don't let him out of your sight, you guys. So, okay, let me go back real quick to what happened at the end of this 3 days, because I was completely, I didn't sleep for 3 days, and I was so totally freaked out by what had happened. Everybody knew. A couple of the other girls knew what happened. My daughter also had bad dreams, nightmares that night about the same kind of thing. So really bizarre. And we knew something was up. Well, 3 days later, I was really a wreck. And I remember that I was just laying down trying to sleep. And then I had an experience with the Archangel Michael, and he came to me. It was a vision. He showed me immediately. I remember what he looked like, but he showed me what he showed me was what I was like just amazed by. In his first hand, he held out his hand. He showed me a baby dinosaur. This little itty bitty baby dinosaur that was just, it fit in the palm of his hand. And the colors that I saw in this baby dinosaur was the most beautiful thing I've ever seen and adorable. And then he held out his other hand, and it was a little baby bird. And it was the same thing. It was just so beautiful. The colors, like I've never seen the colors like this ever in my life, you guys. So he was there and gone just as fast. But what happened after that is that I knew that I was okay, and that he like came to tell me, here, it's going to be okay, Rena. Look. And then he showed me the hummingbird or this bird. Sorry, it wasn't a hummingbird. The bird and the baby dinosaur. So that was the end of the 3 days. The 3 days was the most amazing 3 days. And then I ended up coming here to the Ozark area. So, but I wanted to tell you guys about this experience. I felt that the time was right.